Charles Leclerc never saw it coming, and today we're uncovering how the seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton is transforming Ferrari from the inside in a way that could define the team's future for the next decade. When Hamilton's arrival at Ferrari was announced, it was presented as a seismic move in Formula One, the union of one of the sport's most decorated drivers with its most iconic and historic team. Headlines celebrated the spectacle, showing Lewis draped in Ferrari red alongside Leclerc, exchanging words of mutual respect and being embraced by the Tifosi. Yet while the public and press focused on the images and the symbolism, the truly decisive changes were taking shape behind closed doors. Hamilton didn't come to Maranello as just another driver there to do his job on Sundays. He came as a strategist with a broad vision for both the sport and the team, fully aware that world championships are often won not through a single race, but through years of correct technical choices. Within days of joining Ferrari's structure, Hamilton began requesting access to data that drivers normally don't see, information well beyond his own telemetry and feedback from the cockpit. This wasn't idle curiosity. It was part of building a complete mental map of where Ferrari could improve for the future. Between Silverstone and Spa, he delivered an extensive technical report, a genuine master plan, for the development of the 2026 car, with concrete proposals covering aerodynamic concepts, suspension design, ERS integration, and engine development strategies tailored for the upcoming regulations. The level of technical depth and the clarity of his objectives surprised even Ferrari engineers with decades of experience. For Leclerc, who had been Ferrari's main technical reference for years, Hamilton's arrival marked a significant shift. His new teammate wasn't just bringing experience from Mercedes. He was actively shaping Ferrari's long-term direction. Inside the team, this was interpreted as a change in the balance of power. For the first time, the main technical voice might not be Leclerc's. Maranello insiders admitted privately that they couldn't recall another instance of a driver wielding this much influence in off-track strategic decisions. The message from Hamilton was clear. He had not joined Ferrari to adapt to the existing system, but to reshape it from the ground up. For Leclerc, it was a sobering reminder that competing alongside a driver of Hamilton's caliber meant battling not just against the stopwatch, but also for influence over the very foundations of the team's technical program. The SF25, conceived as a radical evolution designed to restore Ferrari to consistent title contention, turned out to be both promising and demanding. From the very first preseason runs, it was clear that its design philosophy diverged significantly from the cars Hamilton had driven for more than a decade at Mercedes. Ferrari's adoption of a pull-rod front suspension aimed to free aerodynamic flow to the rear, opening new possibilities for the floor and diffuser design. But this came at a price. The car developed what engineers called a lazy rear end, with a delayed response and load transfer during corner entry and mid-corner phases. For Hamilton, who had been used to a rock-solid and predictable rear axle at Mercedes, this presented a difficult adaptation. At Mercedes, his mastery of traction and stability allowed him to attack the apex with full confidence, knowing the car would respond in a linear, predictable way. In the SF25, small steering corrections, or even minimal changes in braking angle, could trigger a chain reaction of unpredictable handling traits. This challenge was compounded by the car's extremely narrow setup window. Minor changes in ride height or weight distribution could transform the SF25 from compliant to nearly unmanageable. On the other side of the garage, Leclerc's aggressive style, which favors a hyperreactive front end and allows him to manage a lively rear, seemed naturally suited to the SF25's characteristics. As the season progressed, Hamilton began adopting setups closer to Leclerc's preferences, even if it meant sacrificing some of his comfort. The result was a more nervous car in high-speed corners and a sharper edge at the limit, but the performance gains were undeniable. This technical compromise had mental consequences too. Hamilton, whose career had been built on precision and control, was forced to adapt to a car that demanded more sudden steering inputs, later braking points, and more abrupt load transitions. It was a duel on multiple fronts, against the stopwatch, against the car's unpredictable behavior, and against 2 decades of ingrained driving habits. Ferrari's engineers faced a difficult decision: adapt the SF25 to Hamilton's style, which would mean moving away from the balance Leclerc was already exploiting, or keep it in Leclerc's sweet spot and risk Hamilton never unlocking his full potential. Hamilton's debut race for Ferrari in Australia was far from the fairy tale many had imagined. Starting from the midfield left him vulnerable to incidents at the start, and a mix of dry and wet conditions forced him to drive large portions of the race without exploiting his true pace. But for Hamilton, the 2024 season was never just about immediate results. His focus was on 2026, when sweeping regulation changes would redefine Formula One. New hybrid engines, revised aerodynamics to enhance slipstreaming, and tighter weight restrictions would force every team to rethink their entire car concept. Hamilton was determined that Ferrari wouldn't just react to these changes, they would lead them. Since joining, he has pushed to unify Ferrari's traditionally siloed chassis, aerodynamics, and power unit departments, ensuring that every decision made now feeds into the ultimate goal of producing a title-winning car for the very first race of the 2026 season. This vision includes influencing fundamental choices such as the architecture of the new power unit, the mass distribution of the car, and the design philosophy for the ERS system to strike the perfect balance between efficiency and outright power. But championing such sweeping change comes with political costs. To make his vision a reality, Hamilton needs internal allies, which means winning over key figures in Maranello who have long worked under Leclerc's influence. In the paddock, whispers suggest that Hamilton has already begun building strong relationships with senior engineers and with team principal Frederic Vasseur, who reportedly sees Hamilton not just as a top driver, but as a leader capable of guiding Ferrari into its next great era. For Leclerc, the challenge is a delicate one. While he remains Ferrari's most recognizable face and a fan favorite among the Tifosi, he is watching as his new teammate steadily gains influence over the team's long-term direction. The real battle is no longer just on the track. It plays out in every technical meeting, every simulator session, and every strategic discussion at the factory. The stakes couldn't be higher. If Hamilton's plan for 2026 is implemented successfully, Ferrari could usher in a golden era, producing a car perfectly tailored to a proven champion who knows how to win under new regulations. But if the internal rivalry turns into an open fight for control, the team risks splitting resources and losing cohesion at a moment when unity is vital. Formula One history is filled with examples of teams missing their competitive window due to internal divisions, and such windows are rare. A strategic misstep here could condemn Ferrari to another decade of frustration. Hamilton's influence is already evident. In just months, he has done what few drivers manage after changing teams, shifting the internal power structure, altering the culture, and proving on track that he still has the pace to be a title contender. Engineers and strategists now view his input not merely as driver feedback, but as strategic direction influencing Ferrari's entire development program. That influence is a massive asset, but also a source of tension. For Leclerc, it's an uncomfortable adjustment. He faces a rival who can match his pace, commands immense historical prestige, and offers a long-term technical vision that could redefine his own role. This is not the usual rivalry between two drivers over race day supremacy. It's a battle for leadership of an entire project, where the one who can align the team behind his philosophy could steer Ferrari's course for years. The big question is whether this rivalry can be turned into a strength. If Hamilton and Leclerc can work in harmony, Ferrari could field the most formidable driver lineup on the grid, two top-tier talents pushing development in the same direction. But if their competition fractures the team, the once-in-a-decade opportunity offered by the 2026 regulation changes could slip away. In a sport where the difference between dominance and decline is razor-thin, Ferrari's immediate future hangs in the balance. For now, the chess game is underway, and Hamilton has already made his opening move. Whether it leads to an era of Ferrari glory or internal collapse will depend on how this delicate balance of power plays out in the months to come.